Good morning, everyone. I hope this video finds you well. This week, we're going to be talking a whole lot about right triangles. For the Pythagorean Theorem, I'm just going to kind of take you through the notes a little bit because that's what a lot of you said would have been helpful last week. So we're going to try that this week. And if it doesn't help or you still need more, feel free to send me any questions that you may have. Either post it underneath the video, post it beside your assignment in Google Classroom, or send me an email. I'll get notice if you send any of those. So just let me know if it's not helpful. If it's more helpful, you can comment that and let me know that too. Or if you just have questions afterwards, you can please let me know that. I appreciate all of you that got last week's stuff done. If you're still working on that and you need help, please let me know too. There's still a couple of you that I haven't heard back from yet, like on an individual basis, so expect me to keep trying. And I hope everything's going well for all you guys. So we're going to get started here. Today we're going to be talking about the Pythagorean Theorem. Big thing here is that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Something that you've all hopefully heard before in your life. And off to the side here, we just see that a and b can be either one of the legs. It could be interchangeable. This one could be a or b. And if that one's a, this one's b. If this one's b, this one has to be a. It really doesn't matter what the order is in, so long as the hypotenuse in C is always that longest side across from 90 degrees. All right, I'm going to go a little bit out of order today. I'm going to skip over this classifying part, and we're going to come back to it in a second. All right, and we're going to look at 1 and 2 first. Down here, where it says solve for the missing sides. All right, obviously they're already worked out, but this is our unknown right here. All right, the reason I'm calling it C is because it's across from the 90 degrees, so it's the hypotenuse. So we know it has to go right there. All right, the order of the 72 and 96, they said this 72 was A and 96 was B. But we also could have switched that and said 96 for A and 72 for B. But just for this case, the one that's already worked out, they said 72 was A, 96 was B. Obviously, you could have changed the order of those. All right, then they plug it in. So they get 72 squared plus 96 squared equals C squared. They do 72 squared, they get 5,184. 96 squared is 9,216. That equals C squared. They add them. They get C squared is the same thing as 14,400. When they square root both sides, they get C is equal to 120. So that means that C side is 120. The label's feet because all the other units were in feet. All right, similar thing for the second one. This time, this is the side we don't know. That's one of the legs. All right, so it could either be a squared or b squared, or you could plug x squared in there. It's up to what you guys want to plug in. In this case, they called it not x, but this person called it b. All right, our other leg is 164 yards. Our hypotenuse is 205 yards. All right, so when we plug that in, we get 164 squared plus b squared equals 205. That's right here. All right, then we squared those two numbers, as you see below that, subtract because it's positive, and we get down to b squared equals 15,129, which when we square root is 123. So that leg is 123 yards. All right, if we look below that real quick, there's a couple of examples of that. If you were to get a decimal when you square rooted, you guys could just round to 1 or 2 decimal places. That's up to you. All right, but I think most of them on this one come out. If on your assignment or something you would have one that doesn't, just round it to either 1 or 2 decimal places. That's your choice. All right, so for I'm going to do number 1. I'm going to leave number 2. All right, for number 1, all right, this is a side I don't know. All right, if we notice it's across from the 90-degree angle, so this is going to be my hypotenuse, or my C squared, which means 64 and 48 are A and B. So when I work this out, I'm going to get 48 squared plus 64 squared equals, in my case, x squared. All right. When I plug that into a calculator, all right, bear with me for a second. All right, 48 squared is 48 times 48, which is 2,304. 64 squared is 4,096. That equals x squared. All right, I add those two together. I get 6,400. And if I square root both sides, x is 80. The other two are measured in centimeters, so that's 80 centimeters if I could write an m correctly. All right. I'm going to let you try 2 as you see the answers already down here a little bit. All right. The only other one down here is 3. All right, we're going to talk about that one at the end. We're going to talk about 3 there at the end. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to skip back up here and look at this classification part. All right. And the reason I say this is because it's basically the same thing. We're just comparing 2 things at the end. So what we got is we got 3 types of triangles. We have right triangles, we have acute triangles, and obtuse triangles. All right. An obtuse is just a triangle with one obtuse angle. A right triangle is a triangle with one right angle. An acute triangle is a triangle with all 3 acute angles. All right. And the Pythagorean theorem tells us this in a couple ways. If a squared plus b squared is c squared, all right, we know it's a right triangle because the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the 2 legs. All right. The other 2 options that we have are, well, the sum of the legs could be bigger. All right. So if the legs are bigger, that forces it to be an acute triangle because the hypotenuse gets shorter, and that makes that right angle have to get smaller. All right. Likewise, if the hypotenuse is bigger, that makes that right angle have to get bigger, so it becomes obtuse. All right, so those are our 3 situations. All right, how we test that, all right, if we look down here to number 1, all right, is the first thing we got to do is we got to find our C, or what would be our technical hypotenuse if it's a right triangle. In this case, it's 26, because 26 is the biggest number. So notice that's why they bring that out here. All right, our other 2 numbers are 12 and 15, so they're adding those 2 together. When they take 12 and 15 and they square it, they get 369, so that's one side. 26 squared is 676, all right? Obviously, those aren't equal. 676 is the bigger one, and if the hypotenuse is bigger, all right, it is obtuse. That's how they get obtuse here. All right. On number 2, they did the same exact thing. All right, they just set it up a little bit differently. They know C is 40 because 40 is the biggest number, which means A and B have to be 24 and 32. All right, so A and B go right here. All right, when they work that out, they get 16,000 there. The 40 comes over to this side, and they get 1,600 there. All right, and then this box in the middle is just looking, is it less than, greater than, or equal to? In this case, the 2 sides are equal, so that means it's a right triangle. All right, the last example they give you is on the next page. All right, 2, 2, and 2. All right, since they're all the same, it doesn't matter which one's C and which one's A and B. A and B go right here. C comes over to this side. When they work it out, they're left with 8 and 4. 8 is bigger than 4, so the hypotenuse is smaller. That means it has to be an acute triangle. All right. I want to do one or two of these next ones with you, and I'll leave one completely blank for you to do if you have, so that way you can figure out if you have questions before you start your assignment. All right. Number 4 here. All right. The longest one is 25, so C is 25. And my other two, A and B, are 18 and 22. All right, once again, the order of those two doesn't matter. All right, so what I need to do is I need to compare 18 squared plus 22 squared and 25 squared. All right, so once again, at this point, if you wanted to use a calculator, you could use a calculator. 18 squared is 324. 22 squared is 484. If I add those together, that's 808. 25 squared is 625. All right? 808 is bigger than 625. So since C squared is smaller, it has to be acute, which, if we notice, that matches our answer right there. That it's supposed to be. All right. I'm going to try number 5. I'm going to leave number 6 for you all. All right. For number 5, longest side is 29. All right. A and B are 21 and 20. All right. So I take 20 squared plus 21 squared. All right, which would be 400 plus 441, which is 841. I'm sorry, this is all kind of bleeding together. And 29 squared. All right, 29 squared is also 841. All right, since they're equal, that means my triangle is right. All right, so I'll leave number 6 there for you to try. Obviously, guys, if you have questions, please let me know. All right, last one I'm going to do real quick, all right, is I'm not actually going to fully work this one out. I'm just going to help you get started. All right, there's a couple right triangles here. We got the one on the left, and we have one on the right. All right. I also know this whole bottom side is 49 feet. All right. And I know this part up top is 19 feet. What that tells me is that since these are right angles down at the bottom, all right, this middle part down here on bottom is 19 as well. All right. Which means the two parts on the sides for the triangles have to be the rest. Well, 49 minus 19 is 30. All right. The two triangles on the side are the same. So I'm going to divide 30 by 2 and get 15. All right. The reason I know they're the same is that this is a special type of trapezoid. All right, we might talk about that in a couple weeks. So I'm not going to go into it right now, but that's why we know it's the same. All right, we also know that this side over here, since it's 25 feet here, this side right here has to be 25 feet. All right, then basically we just needed that to get this part right here. And that's the right triangle that you need to use to find y. All right, if you notice while you're looking at that, the 25 feet is your hypotenuse, so this is your C. All right, y and 15 can be your A and your B. All right, so when we would set that up, we'd either have y squared plus 15 squared equals 25 squared, or we could have 15 squared plus y squared equals 25 squared. All right, and there's a little bit better explanation down there at the bottom with your answer. All right, that's all I got for today. Guys, as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, I appreciate all the work that you guys did last week. I know this isn't ideal, but I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. All right, I miss seeing you in person. It's not quite the same teaching to an iPad screen as you record a video, but I hope you're all doing well, and I hope to see you all soon. Later, guys.